What's up guys, and welcome to part 13 of the Ultimate Guide to Dark Souls 3. Today we're going to be going through the Consumed King's Garden. Now we're going to do this before we do Lothric Castle because you get a couple of chunks and you get some pretty nice levels. We end up getting like 5 levels at the end of this or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely worth doing. We're just going to get the optional stuff out of the way as soon as possible, as soon as we get to it.
Oh yeah, we're putting Flame Weapon on here because the Pussaman writhe when you hit them with a fire any weapon that has fire damage, so we're going to take advantage of that, of course.
Yeah.
So first thing we're going to do is go to Vort's Bonfire, and then we're going to run up to
the dancer.
What's her name?
Emma. Now, you'd obviously be transported directly here after doing Yorm, but again, we used a homeward bone to get out of this, and we're going to come back because there's stuff we wanted to do. So yeah, you talk to her and it should start the boss fight automatically. It didn't for us for whatever bastard reason. But
I think it only starts the boss fight automatically if you talk to her when you get transported here.
Yeah, maybe.
The fact that we boned out gave us we had to walk up to this and interact with it or something before it would let us fight it. So we're just double checking last air gear. You can use Rime Blue Moss Clump to remove any frostbite you might get from the dancer, but it's probably barely going to hit you. It's relatively easy to avoid.
Yeah, now a lot of people hype this boss up to be exceptionally difficult, and maybe you'll have a hard time, but what really seems to be the case is the first, maybe third, possibly even half of the fight, you will fucking basically do nothing.
The first, yeah, at least the first third before he pulls his sword out. He'll go for it right about now.
And this seems to be a consistent thing that has happened for me a couple of times when we've been playing on screen. For some reason he just is very... This may change, this is completely anecdotal, I've heard otherwise, but he may get way more aggressive in the beginning.
Tony, stop misgendering it.
Sorry. Well, anyway, right, so here you can see its spin attack right now, and this is actually much easier to dodge than you think because it will obviously get quite close. If you're a decent enough distance away, you're not going to have a bother, but you just spam roll twice into it when it's getting to the end, and it basically can't hit you with it.
Yeah, so we faded into another fight. I did die because Dancer just 3-shot me out of nowhere, so that can happen, be careful of that.
Yeah, it can do quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, but its attacks are relatively simple to avoid, so I spliced in another fight just to show you guys its moves are a little bit more.
Interestingly, what seems to be the case is this has happened consistently on trying to get footage of the dancer, is when we're trying to show footage of the dancer, we end up dying showing it because we're letting it go on for
and I
longer.
wanted to show that as well in stage 2 when it does the attack, when it does the animation where it would reach for its sword again. Because it's already got its sword in stage 2, it's a double blast, so I wanted to put that in there as well because that wasn't in the fight where it killed me.
Not only that, a lot of his attacks, or some at the very least, can be deflected off your shield, which is yet another thing. As you can see, you can just roll through that and as much as possible and you'll be able to avoid
I stopped
attacks.
rolling. I think it spins like 6 or 7 times.
So when dealing with the dancer, there wasn't a whole lot of footage because we actually killed it really quickly. Right.
Tends to be quick.
Yeah, so staying in close to it's actually a weirdly good idea. We tend to get beaten up by it when you actually stay far away from it. Being aggressive is actually quite good because, again, you can block almost most of its attacks, and a lot of its attacks just go straight over your head. So really, I mean, the dancer isn't that great unless you're intimidated by it and it's coming for you, in which case it can deal a lot of damage. But if you're up in close, then you shouldn't really have any problems with it, especially with the particular setup that we're using. If you have a slower weapon, you may get slightly more issues out of it, but it shouldn't be that difficult, honestly.
Nah, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. You've got a pretty good shield to go into it as well. The dragon shields get pretty high fire resistance, and the frostbite damage isn't that much. If you do get hit by any of the frostbite, you can use the Rime Blue Moss Clump to get rid of it, but frostbite's not really an issue. Its fire damage isn't really that high either, but your shield can block like 1 or 2 hits from it pretty safely.
So anyway, moving on.
We're going to hop off this elevator halfway down.
Yeah, so we killed that knight guy. There's a few down here. They shouldn't really be that much of an issue. They're kind of just less of an issue than Lothric knights, I would say.
They are less of an issue. You've already fought them anyway. You fought them in the Cathedral in the Deep, basically. Now they just do a bit more damage. They're a bit more tanky.
And if they're that hard, you can obviously just use the guard break. Now, something to mention is in New Game++, just below here, there should be the
Sage's Ring +2.
Yeah, so that's a thing here. And also coming in here in New Game+, just behind the lift will be the Wood Grain Ring +1.
Yeah. Not the Darkwood Grain Ring though, no.
No.
Eastwood Grain Ring, the one that does weapon durability, right?
Which is completely fucking useless in this game.
Yeah, utterly and fucking completely pointless.
So we're picking up a Ring of Sacrifice, and we're just got to be careful. There's a bunch of Pus a Man in here, and fighting one at a time is fine. Fighting two at a time, maybe a bit of a slight issue.
I cut out a lot of the waiting around, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
So
seamless editing as we were waiting.
It was. So picking up, going under here, this is in the middle of this area, and you can pick up the Shadow Set, Claws, and a Black Firebomb. Just picking that up and running away, staying away from the Pus a Man. They shouldn't really be that much of a
Shadow Set has pretty good poison and toxic resistance if it falls in line with the way it was in Dark Souls 1 anyway.
Yeah, I suppose we're not checked, but theoretically it should be quite good.
I mean, but why would you need to wear it? You've got the Sun Armor, it's pretty much the best armor, one of the best armor sets in the game.
Yeah.
But these guys are relatively easy. I'm using way too many guard breaks, so I end up running out of fucking mana when it comes to fighting the Pus a Man. I have to use a fire resin, but...
Yeah, so you may want to take like an Ashen Estus just so you...
maybe one.
So just so you've got the focus to use guard breaks for these enemies and be able to cast Karthus Flame Arc reliably.
So as you can see here, as soon as we got under it, we just want to R1 away with the flame weapon. Then we're going to try and get behind it. I find that getting under their tail, on the other side of them, not the side that I'm on the other side of them, you tend to avoid a lot of their hits. And just like generally rolling whenever you see it making any big like sweeping motions, just roll out of instinct basically.
Yeah, but
it's another good way to avoid a lot of their attacks.
Generally, they just shouldn't really be an issue.
Nah, not that much of a problem. Now, moving along here, there's a few slugs, and there's this guy over here as well, who's I don't trust him because I don't like the fact that he could turn into a Pus a Man. I don't like the fact that he could. I'm not 100% sure if he does, but it looks like he would.
Shady character.
Aye, shady business. So I'm like trying to work out which one I want to attack first because I can't tell which way they're going because they patrol. But I'm gonna fight this slug because it gets wide, and then I'm gonna take that one out right there. Yeah, I left this bit in because I was moving around too much for an easy split. But
so as he goes to attack this guy, his flame arc actually runs out. So you kind of want to make sure that
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so you can cast it again. But
yeah,
I mean,
it runs out the second I roll under him to attack. It runs out. So now you see what I mean, where you just get on this side behind him, and you tend to avoid a lot of his attacks.
Again, if you don't have flame arc, you can still just use a charcoal pine resin. It'll do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I used the charcoal pine resin on the other one because I just can't be bothered fighting it like that because it's just really irritating not being able to stun it and keep it in place for a second because like its attacks, it moves around so much that it just gets out of range. Oh yeah, we're picking up the drops from these things because they are guaranteed, by the way. The Pus a Man will always drop those large shards. They are guaranteed. Just so you know. That's why you
I don't think they are.
They are guaranteed because you get them off every Pus a Man that you kill down here.
Anyway though, the slugs can, by the way, also drop dark gems, and again those the knights that we were fighting, they can drop the Great Mace or the Cathedral Knight Greatsword, Cathedral Knight Great Shield, Heavy Crossbow, apparently, but that's not true. Like, the only one that can drop the Heavy Crossbow is the one that has the Heavy Crossbow in the rafters and
yeah,
the
Cathedral of the Deep on the way to Rosaria.
Yeah, they can also drop bits of their armor set, large Titanite shards, Titanite chunks, and one of them drops Magic Stone Plate Ring, which we will get to.
So I'm just trying to like get my bearings on where we were going here, just to make sure we're going the right way. And I heard a little sound, so I was like, what was that? But no, we're going to drop down here, we're going to get a Titanite chunk, and there is, I think it's the fucking dark resin around the corner here as well. Human resin.
So it's good that we want to come here again, as you said, because we get Titanite chunks. This allows us to definitely upgrade our weapon for going into Lothric Castle, which is obviously something that we want.
Yeah, 100%.
At this point,
very important.
At this point, the game is catching up on the Storage Straight Sword. It's still an incredibly good weapon, but it's becoming less
falling into
busted.
line.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing less damage, but the point is that it costs so little stamina, and your DPS is really good with it if you get a successful combo off, that it holds up against pretty much anything else you would have at this point in the game. You would do more damage, obviously, if you were like heavily invested in one stat, such as like strength. You would do it, I mean, you definitely do a lot more damage if you were heavily invested in strength and using a strength weapon at this point. Okay, so going up here, we're going to get a shortcut. Now, there is a drop halfway off this elevator. We're going to do it on the way down so we're not, like, backtracking too much. But we want to open this shortcut. This leads us all the way back, basically, to just beside the dancer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of pointless shortcut, really. It doesn't really cut out almost anything, but whatever.
Saves you running through the Pus of Man to get to Osiris, I guess.
So there's some thralls here, and they drop general thrall stuff. Thrall Axe, Thrall Hood, and can possibly drop Titanite chunks here. So the game's giving you a hint to be using these chunks at this point. Yeah. There's also Lothric Priests, and they can drop Blessed Gems as well. Yeah,
Lothric Priests buff these guys as well. They make them do more damage. The good news is that I don't think there's any of the thralls that have the flambears, so they will all deflect off of your shield.
Yeah.
So you can get those juicy counter hits in.
Now the Lothric Priests aren't a bother here, but in Lothric Castle they can be an issue.
Are later, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I honestly thought there were more enemies in this part. That's why I was looking around, like, where's the rest of them thralls at? But no. Unique door open animation.
Yeah.
How far we've come, it only took them 4 games. 5 games if you include demons.
So you can see where we are now, and now we're just going to run back to the boss.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, technically we're running back to the boss, but we're also going to do that drop off in the shortcut.
The boss is on the way.
Yeah.
I think it's the Dragon Scale Ring's the next thing on our itinerary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's the next thing that we're picking up. So, as we said, dropping off halfway down, maybe near the bottom of this elevator actually.
See, at this point they've made it predictable. We know there's always a drop off.
I know. If there's an item, like, sitting precariously over a ledge, I know there's an enemy who's going to try and hit me.
Yeah.
If there's an item just out in the open and there's like a blind angle coming up, I know there's an enemy behind it. I've seen it in Bloodborne and Yharnam. The second we've seen it, it's like, what a very Dark Souls thing to do.
I know. So, again, there's a couple of knights here. You don't really need to kill this one. You could, but I mean, if you want to kill the other one, this guy's probably gonna. Like,
he will aggro on your way to the other one almost definitely. So always take out this guy first. They can be relatively easy to backstab if you do get that that roll in during their first attacks.
However, this is the one that doesn't drop the magic stoneplate ring, and for whatever reason, the magic stoneplate ring is guaranteed and an auto inventory item. Don't know what the reason. There's probably some fucking low reason for it, but who gives a shit?
He's Michael, the greatest of Cathedral Knights.
Aye.
Don't know why I picked the name Michael, it just sounds like it'd be somewhat biblical.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. But Mikael. I mean, that just really sounds more like something they'd put in like a fucking Underworld film.
Yeah.
She only gets that job because her boyfriend's the director. Let's not even kid ourselves at this point. He is fueling her career. I mean, she's arguably she's attractive.
Sure.
But
that's definitely, I mean, that's the reason why she has it.
Well, aye, that's the reason why she's married to him. He finds her attractive, so he puts her in his movies. Yeah, that pretty much explains all of the Underworld films and why they're making another one. She must have needed the money.
Must have.
Aye.
Regardless though, right, still fighting these knights, just
Back
general thing. Now, the sword that these things drop is actually not bad, because it has the cool...
Yeah, it has the cool... Is the sword art that's the same as the Great Sword? The Ultra Great Sword, Great Sword. I hate the fact that they just keep calling it the Great Sword when it's an Ultra. But it has that really cool, like, guts as fuck sword art, where, like, you spin and it's the big horizontal swipe. A lot of the other Great Swords have, like, the stomp and then an uppercut, or they'll have the charge that the Astora's Great Sword has, but I think only the Cathedral Knight's sword and the...
Great Sword.
The Great Sword. I think only those two have the horizontal sweep follow-up to the stomp.
There's probably a couple others, but...
There might be, but the problem is all the sword arts are called stomp, and you have to read the description to see if it's an upward slash or a horizontal sweep.
So, now we're dealing with Osiris, or Osirios, or how the fuck you pronounce it. So, he's actually a little bit harder than the Dancer, I would say, but his attacks are...
The same method though, just get up in his face and swing. Like, if you get underneath him, then his attacks are pretty easy to avoid. Most of them do swing over your head like the Dancer, but he's carrying a little ocelot, and once he reaches, like, once you take him down by a third of his health, he just goes fuck the ocelot.
Now, apparently has weakness to lightning, which would make sense because he's a dragon, and generally dragons are weak to lightning attacks.
He's also blind, so there's some, like, parallels to be drawn with Seath. He keeps spamming this fucking mist attack, which, as you stand in it, it does damage over time. He keeps spamming it, he uses it like 5 times in a fucking row. He's a real pain in the ass.
Now, when he's in this stage, this is like, he's...
Easy mode.
Yeah, it's super, like, he's not going to be an issue here. But when he goes into his second form, he goes in all fours, and then he goes, like, fucking lightning fast, which can prove to be a problem. However, you can block his attacks, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, you can block all of them. He does only physical damage, except when he uses, like, his breath attack. So this is it here. So when you take away about a quarter to a third of his health, he goes, fuck this ocelot, and smashes it off the floor. Maybe it's dead, we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it never existed. We'll let Vatty decide. So now he's going feral, so he's going to swipe at you with his tail and stuff. He has this attack where he just dashes, like there's basically no warm-up to it at all, no build-up, nothing like that. He just goes, bang, I'm in your face.
Which is why you want to be close to him, because that way he's not going to be charging.
Yeah, that's a gap-closing attack, so if there's no gap, then that won't be an attack that he's going to use. Like that there, that's the attack I'm talking about. When he's facing you, he's just bang, he's in your face immediately.
So obviously, when he does his breath attack, like anything that you use a breath attack, that's your time to start closing distance and getting close.
Try and tuck in, like, in next to his neck, on the, it would be his right cheek. You want to try and tuck in beside, because that means that he'll pull you into his shoulder, and then you can swing away as he uses his attack, and he's stuck in the animation.
So the main things to worry about is when you are close to him, his jumping tail swipe. So you really need to get used to the dodge timings of that. And again, he has that clawing attack, which is used to get distance. So you need to be careful of that and make sure that you're following him wherever he goes so he doesn't do the charge. However, at the same time, like that claw attack can actually be a bit of a problem, and that was the charge that you just saw there. Well, that was like a half charge. It's not the proper one. It goes nuts, and he'll start dashing about quite a lot. But as you can see, getting close is like the main thing that you want to be doing.
Just always want to close that gap. That's what I was meaning there, by the way, where you want to get in beside his right cheek, because he'll pull you under him, and you can just swing away while he's locked in the animation. That's GG Osiris. But that dash there is very similar to it, but it does a lot of damage, and if he catches you mid-roll, it's going to hit you for like 1400 and probably kill you at that point unless you're embered. So there's only a couple of more items to get, and then we're pretty much finished with this section. We're going to handle Champion Gundyr and the Untended Graves in the next part. What are you looking up?
Just seeing if there's anything to mention in the guide about any strategies or anything like that.
With Osiris, I'm going to assume using magic is probably not a good idea. Use lightning, get in his face, and have a 100 block shield for stage 2, and you're pretty much golden to beat him.
So this guy, by the way, is a Serpent Man, and they can drop large Titanite shards. Maybe it would drop more, but I'm not sure.
Okay, we picked up a gesture there. It's very important. That's the Path of the Dragon gesture. I'm equipping it right now. Where we picked up the Dragon Torso Stone, the Dragon Headstone in Erithal Dungeon, you need to go there.
It's the Torso Stone, by the way.
Is it the Torso Stone? You need to go there and you use that gesture for a few seconds, and it transports you to the optional area. We're going to do that before the Solar Cinder, so we're going to come back to that. But make sure you grab that gesture, otherwise you won't be able to access that area of the game.
Yeah. And now we're in Untended Graves, but we're not going to do this in this part, obviously, because there's like fucking 30 seconds left. But yeah, we're going to do that in the next part, which is obviously the Untended Graves itself. So, going back to Firelink, and this time we're just going to use all these fucking souls that we've got to level up.
Yeah, we're going to get 5 levels out of this, basically. We've also got an Estus shard from the Consume King's Garden, so we're going to go upgrade our Estus. That gets us 14 out of the 15 available Estus in the game. So, we're almost there.
I'd say that's actually one of the most missable shards, probably.
It's one of the most missable shards unless you've never played a Souls game before, because you drop off an elevator halfway in every game.
Yeah,
at least 3 times you jump off an elevator.
Anyway though, so
upgrade your Restorer Sword if you haven't as well. It should be like +8 by now. We could have upgraded the Restorer Sword before Consume King's Garden, we just didn't.
No, I think we got more than 2 Titanite chunks.
We'd probably get 3 then. Yeah, we would have got 3 because there was 2 in Consume King's Garden. There's 1 at the shortcut as well.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just looking through here to see if there's anything else we need to buy. However, when leveling up, that's us now at 40-40. We're then probably going to invest a little bit in attunement so we get more slots, and then when we've got more attunement, we've got 2 attunement slots, so we can definitely use
Tears of the Nile. We're going to get 15 Faith, so we can use it, and then we're going to get a 3rd attunement slot, and that will let us use Cuth's Flame Arc again, or Caressing Tears, or whatever we want to use again.
Yeah, so it just gives us a little bit more utility, really.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for Consume King's Garden, the Dancer and Osiris. So yeah, tune in next week when we take on Champion Gundyr.
Yeah.
It won't be next week, it'll be like
tomorrow.
Monday. Yeah.
Probably. Anyway, okay, see you then. Hopefully,
see you guys in the next
hopefully you enjoyed this part. It's kind of short, but yeah, whatever.